this week. This is my pick of the week. Is the over under is 10.5 rounds. It's 12 rounder. I mean, Usyk's put on so much weight. I think there's only one person in boxing history that would really pose a challenge to Tyson Fury at Tyson Fury's height and weight. Like, I mean, when I say really pose a challenge, a lot of people would, but Lennox Lewis and other people, everybody would provide their own challenges. But Usyk at 250, he is so fast and active because he's coming up. He was a fast and active cruiserweight. And you watch him against that first Joshua fight, he was so much
50 pounds.
Well, he was 215 when he fought Joshua. I think he's about 245, 250 right now. Yeah, he's been working out 3 times a day. And this is a cat who is maybe the person best in shape at the heavyweight division in history. I mean, you could make an argument that Usyk is the best conditioned athlete at the heavyweight division ever already after one real fight. Because have you rewatched that Joshua fight, he never stopped moving. It went the distance. He was active from start to finish, never sat flat-footed, just dancing, never looked tired. And apparently this time he's doing 3 days and swimming 4 miles a day as part of it and just training his nuts off. And he's built like a fucking truck right now. This guy's really building himself and applying himself to what was already one of a Hall of Fame set of skills. I mean, even if he had lost against Joshua, he's probably a Hall of Famer.
The weight, that could be a negative factor. You don't know until you get under the lights. But that changes, the whole strategy on both ends, I would think.
I might be bullshitting on the weight, by the way. He's bigger, definitely. I don't know what he's weighed in at. Weigh-ins will be this weekend, but he looks 245 to me. So I'm throwing that out there, but I don't know the weight.
Right. Well,
so just in case somebody's listening and going, he weighed in at 232, dickhead. Well,
Joshua,
yeah.
This giant, okay? The first fight, he didn't do what he was supposed to do.
He did exactly what he could, dude. I mean, I get so pissed off when people say that. It's like people weren't watching the first fight. He had no other option but to sit there and be bitched. That's how good Usyk was, moving faster, quicker, and lighter than any other person could.
I think he had to try and impose his weight advantage, be a bully,
whenever he'd come forward and try, he'd just get out angled and outboxed. He tried a couple times, but for the most part, he sat in the middle of the ring, let Usyk circle, let him wear himself out, and tried to find a place that he could land that shot. But he did.
It's going to be more of the same.
I don't see where he has much choice. Usyk doesn't give you, if you're that much better at somebody at movement and footwork and angles, you can go try to press somebody into the ropes if you want. That person's not going to be there. They're not going to be there for long.
It transcends strategy, really.
It does. It becomes, at some point, it becomes a puzzle that you can't really solve. Now, you can try. That's where the Fury fight becomes interesting, is he can try to go fight, because Fury's pretty light. But if you go watch Fury, fight, watch him fight White or Wilder or whatever you want, and go watch that Usyk fight, because I've been watching the Usyk fights. There's an uptick in pace there. Like the speed it's faster on Usyk's side, and now who knows with the power. So it's kind of interesting to watch how fighters evolve this, because originally Tyson Fury wasn't a power puncher. Now he's knocking people out, and Usyk didn't try to.
The first time I saw Fury, he fought Steve Cunningham, lighter guy, light heavyweight coming up, and he was picking Tyson Fury apart.
He was picking who apart?
Tyson Fury.
Wait, start over with your thing. You said the first time you saw Usyk fight
I'm sorry. The first time I saw Tyson Fury fight,
Oh,
it was against a guy named Stevie Cunningham, who was coming up from light heavyweight, and Cunningham was just picking him apart. He actually dropped him a few times, and Fury just said, fuck it, and started elbowing and pushing and just mauling this guy. And
I
like,
watched that fight. I watched the fight. I watched it turn.
bullied him out of the ring, just bullied him out of the ring. And I mean, he has the ability to do that mentally and physically.
Well, that's the mental part that's so crazy, because most people would have quit during the Wilder fights. You get knocked down twice by Wilder in a round. Very few people are coming back, much less coming back to win by KO. Doesn't happen.
Right.
You know, there's something
And
extra
I don't
there.
think there was any doubt in his mind.
Yeah, no doubt in his mind. There's a belief there, and it's a belief from having happened, you know, many times before. I mean, his dad was a bare knuckler. I think there's a part of him that believes in God, and I think God's a big part of his strength. And the fact that he grew up in that environment and his dad's such a bad motherfucker, that he understands the legacy he has to live. There's levels to that heart, and I think Fury is proven over and over again that when it comes to digging deep on the heavyweight level, he can hit levels that most people can't. You know, he can find that. Ali obviously is another guy who did it over and over.
Tons of those guys, when you couldn't dig no more, they found another level to dig down to.
They just find it, they'd run with it, they'd roll with it. So we got so I thought this weekend my big pick is under 10.5. I think it's going to be a knockout. I think we're going to be looking at Usyk is going to make Joshua look bad. You know, again, the first fight wasn't even as close as the judges said it was. It was a dominating fight by Usyk. I actually, at the end of it, I said there's no need for us to see it again because it really wasn't close at all. And Usyk's now bigger, stronger, faster. Well, he looks really fucking good training. So I think it's just going to be more of the same. And that if Joshua wins, which could happen, it sets up maybe the biggest money fight in history with Tyson Fury and Joshua. That'd be a bigger money fight than Usyk. For me, I'd rather see a bigger Usyk and Tyson Fury.
I think that would happen before the trilogy, the third fight, because they'd have to fight a third fight too.
Well, if Usyk wins both. You mean, yeah, no, I'm with you. Probably not. They'd have to fight the third fight. But let's assume that Joshua comes out of the trilogy, you know, as the winner and wins the next two, which is highly unlikely, but let's just assume that happens. You're looking at one of the biggest money fights.
Do you think? I don't think so. I don't think Usyk will ever fight Fury.
Why not?
I just don't think it's gonna. I don't know. Just I think Fury is. I don't think Fury's a liar. I think that when he says he wants out, he wants out. And I don't know. You know,
I don't think it's about lying. I think when he wants out so he can strategically take some Floyd. He's looking at the Floyd Mayweather. He likes to fight. He's going to continue to fight. But he's looked Floyd Mayweather's biggest fights they weren't title fights. You know, they were exhibitions. He's realized how much of the business is taken from him, how much money's taken from him by the belts. And if he can actually exit the belts and take a fight with, you know, Francis Ngannou, that's a $150 million exhibition.
Who gives a shit who the champion is, right?
You know, and it's easy money for him in general. All he has to do is avoid that one shot, you know, and Francis is it's literally one shot and the fight's over. It's the same thing that he basically, from his perspective, he's looking at it exactly like the Wilder fight. It's not a great boxer. You just got to watch out for that one hit. He's already been through that, although Wilder actually came out and started to learn how to box, which is frightening. If Wilder can actually hone his boxing skills, that's a fucking That's a problem. He's getting
That's
better.
a fucking problem.
He's getting better and better too. He started in the first round. He started to use his jab, and and we were like, "Well, what the fuck is this?" And then he got.
What's coming up for him?
He's got a big fight coming. I don't know who he's fighting. I can't remember names, but he does have a fight book. I do know that. Let me see. Let me pull it up. Wilder fight. Way to bring the show to a screeching halt with questions on Wilder.
Said Wilder.
You're supposed to be the fucking boxing guy. Wilder fight.
It's 2022. Okay, I know everything.
Deontay Wilder, October fight, search first action against Robert Helenius. Yeah, that's why I couldn't remember. Helenius is fighting on the 13th of October. So in other words, he's got Wilder's 36. So it's we're pretty much closing to the end of the.
I was gonna bring that. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to start boxing.
No, it's pretty late to learn, right?
Right.
But still, he could still get 4 more years of getting in there, but this week's a good fight. What do you think about the 10.5 round over under?
I like it. If I'm going to bet, first of all, I think it's very strong odds. I think it's 2-1. I mean,
it is 2-1. Yeah.
Very, very strong possibility that Usyk wins the fight. Knockout in 10.5. If I had to bet, I would definitely say 4.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is going to be. I think Joshua is going to be more aggressive. Usyk's bigger, stronger. Usyk's going to be prepared for that extra change in gears from Joshua. He knows that, and you could see it in his preparation. He knows that this time he's not just going to trick him and outbox him and leave him flat-footed. He knows at some point he's going to have to put him to sleep, because Joshua's going to come in and really push the gas more than he did last.
Very rarely in rematches, very rarely do things not, for the majority, stay the same. It's just not enough time to revamp everything and be successful. This fight is going to go the way the first fight went, with and maybe worse.
Could be. So also, I think it's going to be quicker. I think a matter of fact, 10.5 shocked me. If it were 8, I'd still take the under. So I'm surprised that they went 10.5, but Vegas knows what they're doing. You and I both know in the 10th round we'll be like, I didn't see it going this long. Could happen. Could turn into a boxing match. I mean, after all, they both are really good boxers. They're Teofimo Lopez came back and won.
Yeah,
what were your thoughts on that fight? Did you watch the fight?
I didn't watch boxing.
Oh, you didn't watch? So here are my thoughts on it. So Teofimo is so fucking talented. And the knockout, you saw the highlight of the knockout, right? Even the highlight of the knockout is a beautiful left-right. I mean, it's just right down the. Teofimo is absolutely stunningly talented. The problem with Teofimo Lopez is that he's a little bit too in love with his ability. So the guy who's fighting was a very good boxer, and traditional boxer, chin down, glove up. Teo is fun to watch because he showboats, and he's fun to watch because he really does kind of fight. He sort of like tries to emulate, I think, a little Roy Jones-ish.
Right.
The problem is that Roy Jones was a fundamentally great boxer and just developed a style. So Roy Jones, developed that style after being trained as a fundamentally great boxer by his father. And it looked very awkward to other people. And it was awkward, but it's a style you can't emulate that. There's only one Roy Jones. And Teofimo, he got the KO. I'm really happy. I actually like their team. I like Teo winning. I actually like the kid. I've been following him for a long time too. He's young, so he's got to go through some growth, and learn how to deal with adversity. And it was nice to see him bounce back. but I worry about him going against, not from an ability standpoint, the ability is there, but I worry about him going against a guy like, and he's moving up, so who knows what'll happen, but a guy like Haney or Shakur, or even George Kambosa, who's disciplined as a boxer and is able to actually stay in the pocket and fire back counter and not get caught into the look at me, showboating shit, but actually stay in the pocket, fire, and outbox him. It shouldn't be able to happen because he's got better skills than 99.99% of the fighters he'll fight. I think, there's probably 4 or 5 fighters out there in the world right now that are at his level or higher as far as fighting as far as ability. Yep. But he's one of those guys that's fallen in love with his ability so much he's lost some fundamentals because he wants to put on a show, and that's going to keep him from getting victories that he should have, like the George Kambosa fight, where he wasn't disciplined, headhunted, fell in love with himself. I saw the same Teofimo Lopez in this fight. He ended up getting the win, but he was more difficult than it had to be.
That's what I was going to ask, because usually that's something, the mental aspect of it. If you're a head case, that's something they try to get a hold of. No improvement in this fight.
He was having fun. I mean, so I think, again, if you're managing him and you have somebody with that much ability, you don't want to say, it'd be sort of like taking, and this is a really bad metaphor, but let's say you have Barry Sanders and you try to say, no, son, just cut it up, take it one step and just cut it up the gut. You don't want to fuck with their style too much and, make them not have fun and not be creative. And, a lot of that creativity, a lot of the stuff he does opens up big opportunities for KOs.
Right.
You don't want to take that away. If I'm part of his team, I'm not trying to take that away from him. My whole point is, you got to know where you are. You can't just play the fuck around game with every fighter. Sometimes you have to actually stay in the pocket, and how to box. You've been in the gym. The fundamental.
That's why identifying those fighters as a trainer is so important, because a lot of times you have to weigh the negative effect against the positive effect. Now, if this guy produces and performs better when he's having fun, that's a thing.
Correct. And he was doing that night, and it worked out perfectly for him.
So
it's part of it. If that's part of his motivation is to get in there and be loose, you can't put the reins on, you can't.
You dim that light and other things go away.
Correct. My whole thing is, hopefully as he matures, he understands where to pull it back a little bit and where to because not all fights are going to be able to be show betting fun. Huh?
How old is he?
He's very 21 years. He's a baby, 21, 22.
He's a baby.
He's a baby. And with that much power, it's just like what I was saying. I mean, we're in this era he is a phenomenally talented fighter. You can see it with every punch. You're like, holy shit, he's got that it.
Yeah.
My only critique of a really good performance is he was against a really good boxer. There were a few moments where I'm like, you might get caught here, son. Quit fucking around. You know what I mean? This is you won, but you fuck around a little bit too much.
You talking about like bolo punches and putting his hands down?
A little bit too much of that. Yeah, a little bit too much of falling in love with yourself. You'll have to watch the fight. You can see those moments. It wasn't that bad. Like, he fought a really good fight, beautiful jab, but he fought a little bit too loosey-goosey. And sometimes with a fundamental fighter, it can turn dark.
And the level is like this close.
Correct.
To the next level where you don't get away with that shit.
That was my point with what I was saying with this. This particular fight, you take what he just fought one slight level up, he's in trouble again, just like he was with Kambosa.
Right.
You know, and you can't. And again, he should be just shitting all over most of these people. Yeah, the discipline isn't there in the ring. He likes to clown around a little bit, which again, I like that. I like a guy who likes to have fun, but you got to be disciplined and in that ring, and you have to know what you're up against. You can't just walk into every ring opponent and be like, I'm just going to clown this person and throw headshots and dance around and fuck with them. It's not going to work with everybody.
Let me
It's
ask
just
you a
not.
question.
Yeah.
So he beat Lomachenko, right?
Yeah.
I have-
With a very disciplined fight. He fought an incredibly disciplined fight.
Who at the time was, they were saying best, best in the division, so on and so forth.
They still say that, but he was, 135. Lomachenko
What
naturally
happened to him?
130.
Because
Yeah.
what happened to him? Because that's been a while, and I haven't seen Lomachenko. I